Hi, my name is Amber Hall and I'm presenting for my cognitive psychology class at Northwest University. I'm going to be using work from Kathleen Galati's book, Cognitive Psychology, which was published in 2014. I'm also going to be using work from Adam Young Counseling, which was copyrighted in 2019. As a psychology student, I'm really interested in understanding how mental processes affect behavior. I'm also a mom of 5 beautiful kids. And as a mom, I am passionate about investing into my kids' future. So today, as a psychology student and as a mom, I would like to ask the following question. How can we empower the minds of the next generation? In other words, which factors impact cognitive growth and development? Now, I am not the first person to ask this question. It's actually a really popular discussion right now among doctors and teachers, psychologists, public health workers. Everyone is trying to understand which factors set kids up for success or hinder them. And we know that there are lots of factors in the environment, things like access to nutrition, toxic stress levels within the home, adverse childhood experiences. But today I would like to talk about something a little bit different. I want to explore the impact of early relationships on the cognitive process. I submit that fostering secure attachments within the first 2 years of life with a stable caregiver is one of the most significant protective factors for healthy brain development and cognitive growth. When 13 years ago, when my daughter Evelyn was 2, she was diagnosed with autism. And it was a really scary time for me as a mom. I remember my husband and I went to Seattle to meet with a leading neuropsychologist. And I remember sitting there with him and we were just desperate to get answers from this man on how we could help our daughter's mind develop. And he said a lot of things, but the thing that stuck with me the most is he said, the single most healing thing you can give your daughter is love. Now, why would he say that? Why would a man with multiple degrees, with a thorough understanding of the brain, suggest that love impacts cognitive development? To answer that question, you need to understand attachment theory. In the 1950s, Dr. John Bowlby was the first person to kind of recognize and begin to document the importance of children's reliance on their parents. But in the last 20 years or so, cognitive psychologists and neuropsychologists have begun to understand that there's a little bit more to attachment than just emotional regulation. What they have found, and I'm going to use work here from Brian Vaughn in 2018, some of his research. But what they begin to understand is that the cognitive processes and structures that develop as an infant, they're actually co-constructed within a parent-child relationship. So the early formation of things like mental schemes and concepts and the way that we mentally represent the world is actually formed within relationship to our primary caregiver, usually the mom. And so what the doctor that I met with in Seattle, what he was saying was that my presence, my calming, stabilizing presence in my daughter's life would help her mind develop because she could borrow from my stability. She could borrow from my regulation. She could pattern herself after me implicitly. Now, this is great news. If you are a child raised in a good home with loving, attentive parents. But what does it mean for kids who are not raised in good homes or with parents maybe who are dysfunctional or unstable or just simply unavailable? What does this research, what does the research that says that they don't have a secure attachment, what does it mean for their cognitive processes? In 2005, Dr. Stephen Shrink and a team from the University of Denver researched attachment-related cognition. And unfortunately, they found that without the presence of a loving, stabilizing, secure attachment that kids are left as infants and toddlers to create those mental concepts and those base structures on their own. And it doesn't mean that they can't do it, but it means that they're going to compensate in ways that make those concepts less stable. As a result, insecure attachments are linked to depression, disorders, eating disorders, personality disorders, addiction, and a lot of negative behaviors in adults. Now, the good news is we know that the brain is malleable. So if you are you're not stuck with an insecure attachment. However, it does signify that attachment is a significant disparity. Having an insecure attachment makes it much harder later on as an adult. So how do theories on attachment align with other cognitive theories? Well, pretty well, actually. One popular theory on childhood development was by the very famous Jean Piaget. Kathleen Galati again references him in her book. And essentially, Piaget says that there are 4 major periods from infancy to adulthood that kids move through. So the first stage is the sensory motor stage, and that's in infancy. And what Piaget would say that is in infancy, kids are actually not able, or infants are not able to create mental representations. That really they're just kind of living in the moment based on their sensory experience. Well, attachment theorists would actually agree with Piaget on this. However, they would add that sensory motor, that really early infancy time is essential to have that bond, because the bonding that occurs in that early time is what allows for that co-construction to occur in the later phases. So in summary, early relationships significantly impact the formation of mental and emotional concepts and schemes. Secure attachments foster healthy development, while insecure attachments foster maladaptive responses. So, what can we do? How can we empower the minds of the upcoming generations? We empower young minds through stable, loving relationships. Thank you.